Okay, hello folks. Let's talk about Britney Spears, and I want to talk about that. This woman was just too trusting. I've been reading the Britney Spears book, as some of you guys will know. I've got her book here. It is the Woman in Me by Britney Spears. It's a very good book. It's triggering. I'm about halfway through because as I was traveling, I wanted to finish it while I was traveling, but then stuff is happening, and I ended up talking to a lot of people. No regrets there, but anyway. She was too trusting. And as I was reading her book, I was I was kind of looking at God, like, God, why should I read this? Like, this is maybe a bad idea that I decided to read this because it's like poking me in every wound of my issues with society and the world, right? Because you have Britney Spears, who, as I'm reading through her book, she's just very trusting, she's very open, she's very fearless. How her journey started out. She loves to sing, she loves to perform, she loves her family, and it all backfires on her because turns out that they are, very hell-bent and focused on eventually on the fact that, wow, we can make a lot of money through you. And the world also is susceptible because the world protects monsters. This is one thing you guys are going to hear me talk about a lot. I feel like it's a whole ongoing thing. The world protects monsters and predators because a lot of times the smart and intelligent monsters and predators will not come out right, like showing who they are. They'll disguise themselves behind some kind of trusted societal role. So that trusted societal role could, for example, be being a parent, as in people assume, because a lot of people, not all people, have a good experience with their parents, that all fathers are like this, all mothers are loving. You hear all these phrases, and what that leads to is it leads to people assuming that for others. So when people heard Britney Spears' family saying stuff like, oh, we're just worried about her, we're worried about how she's spending her money, the world is like, yeah, let's worry about that because she is, her parents, they're worried about her. Let's support that. Because, of course, her parents have to be perfect. Her parents have to be good because that's what we believe in society. Now, before I delve into the finer details, I will acknowledge that it is normal that we should expect and hope that we live in a world where that is the case. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, for a lot of people, that's not the case. And when we assume certain things, it means that we are like robbing others of the true justice that they deserve. So for Britney, I'm reading her book and she talks about her journey with music and with life. And I pointed out in one of my previous videos about Britney, my most recent videos about Britney, that she kind of talks about how, the opportunity to sing, to perform, is she gets to live in this other land, this other world. It isn't the world that's based on the world she's currently living in. And when she talked about that, she then goes on into the depths of the kind of dysfunction of her family, if we're being honest, for the last 3 generations or so. And she talks about what's going on with her parents, her grandparents, her great-grandparents, her siblings, everything. And you come to an understanding that, I think her music was an escape for her. And I've talked about this, guys, before, this concept of escapism that I think we have as humans. I think that's why everybody has their, everybody has a vice. I'm a believer that everybody has a way or things that they do to cope with living. Without God, I believe everybody has a way that they cope with living that isn't necessarily the most healthy way of coping with living. You know what I'm saying? And that could be as simple as gossiping, or complaining, right? And that could be as extreme as, taking fentanyl on the streets of whatever city that you're living in. And so to me, that's kind of what I see across the board with folks, is that it seems to me, I don't know, this is my perspective based on my observations, that everybody is finding their ways to cope with life, which is, I find personally fascinating based on the fact that it's that we're coping. So why does everybody have to cope? Why don't we just exist? Why are we so unable to just live? Why does there has to be this element of coping, if that makes sense, because it's like we have to deal with this reality that we live in. And so I think for a lot of creative folks, and this is one of the funny things that where my questions to God get answered in really unusual ways, because I remember saying to God a while ago, I was like, God, you know, one of the reasons why I'm worried about being creative, a creative person, or I don't want to engage in creative expression is it seems like all the best work creatively comes from people's deep-seated pain. And it seems like the best work comes from people having really been to hell and not even necessarily making it back. Sometimes in hell is where, you know, art is created. And so I'm like, God, do I want to have that dynamic like in my own life? Is that mean that every season I'm gonna, in order to produce the best that I can as a creative, I have to go to such a dark and deep place? I have to be in this place of escapism. I have to be in this place of like detaching myself from the world and going through a lot and being and feeling like there's a lot of things happening. You see what I'm saying? And so that's one of the things that I've noticed from Britney, because as you go through her journey, like as you go through step by step with Britney, you kind of notice that at every point in her life, she consistently elevates, but she's also consistently like dealing with stuff in her personal life and kind of bossing up in a way. Because like when she had this whole Justin Timberlake story arc of her life, and can I just say about Justin Timberlake as a woman that he's not my cup of tea when it comes to the type of men I'm into. Personally, I think some women are into like the like sweet boy, pretty boy, like extra riz, makes all the women buckle their knees type characters. Yeah, that's not for me. You know what I mean? Like some women are into like Thor and some women are into Iron Man. You know, I'm on the Iron Man side of things. Like some women are into like, who's the other example? Superman, and others of us are more into like Batman. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, he wasn't really my cup of tea. I never really saw him as like someone so like desirable, like as a male person. So my opinion about him, obviously, that could treat my bias based on what I've just told you as you wish. You're your own person, you're your own intelligence, as you wish. But to me, I was just kind of like, with him and Britney, I feel like I felt like the story arc with him and her, it was very like, and this is what happened in the book. This is what I'm saying Britney's too trusting. This is what happened. They were together. They came together since they were young because they're both part of the Mickey Mouse Club at like really super young, although Britney tried to apply when she was too young and then had to come back and all this stuff. And then they all veer off. He ends up in this group called NSYNC, as we all know about NSYNC. And it's interesting how she talks about Justin as well with this whole NSYNC story arc, because she talks about him as if to say that like he was really trying to I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to get into that in this video. Anyway, they were together, and like this is where I feel like I first thought, Britney, you're so sweet and trusting and nice, and like this is why I don't want to be sweet and nice and kind and like trusting of anyone, because she was basically explaining how the two of them were in a relationship, but they wouldn't always see each other. They wouldn't even see each other for a long periods of time. Sometimes they wouldn't see each other for a few months. And I immediately, obviously, my brain, largely influenced by modern society, was like, oh, well, he's definitely cheating. Like, right. So, and that's the other thing that I think about when I think about this stuff. Like, I shouldn't assume that he was definitely cheating. But the thing is that he was. And so what happened was he was cheating on her, but she just decided to just ignore it. Because she was like, as long as we're together, I'm going to ignore this. Like, we're together. Like, I trust you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is when us women, like, sometimes when I hear guys talk about women and I think about people like Britney Spears, I think it's not safe to be the women. It's not safe to be the woman that a lot of guys expect for us to be today. I'm not going to lie. It's not safe. It's not safe amongst the male community. So anyway, so she's like, okay, whatever. He's cheating, whatever. I don't care, whatever. She gets pregnant. he doesn't want to keep the baby. She gets rid of the baby. Everyone made a big kerfuffle about this. But here's the thing that's interesting to me about that story arc. She ignored all this cheating, and then eventually she cheated herself, right? And she talks about why she did it and how she felt like she could do it and whatever. He based the whole next story arc of his career on the fact that she cheated. So she cheats once. She admits to him that she's cheating. He's been cheating. She's been having people, including the people that they're all around, including whatever, coming up to her to tell her, by the way, Justin's cheating on you. And she's like, I'm just going to let this go, right? And this is when I just think that being a woman freaking sucks. I can so understand as a woman how you would like get into a situation where you would just ignore it, because it's in our DNA. Like, that's actually the problem. Like, I don't know if gentlemen realize this, because guys, how they feel about cheating, how we feel about cheating as women, we all as women know deep down that realistically we could actually get over it. And that's kind of what makes it unfair in a way, because then guys are just like, oh, so then I'm just going to go and just treat you however. And that's what makes femininity not a safe space in the universe. Because it's like, because you're willing to be understanding, that means that understanding then gets taken advantage of. That's what it comes across to me as. You know what I'm saying? Because even to myself, I'll be honest, like, I won't be honest. I won't give away anything about what I really think. So for Britney and Justin, like, that's exactly what happened. Like, they have this thing, and then he creates now a whole career based off of a lot of that stuff. Because bearing in mind, we all watch this, right? Because that's when all Crimea River, all comes around, goes around, all these songs by Justin came out. I believe that Justin was told by his own management and his own team, hey, I reckon this is what I actually genuinely believe took place. I believe that they went through all of this. Britney comes out, because obviously she had the guilt to actually say, hey, I cheated, by the way. Because us as women, this is where sometimes I feel like as a woman, again, we're disadvantaged, because we become overwhelmed by a particular emotion that we can't help but have to express what has happened, which doesn't happen necessarily with the gentleman, I've realized. So she's overwhelmed, because I know that feeling of feeling overwhelmed to the point where you have to tell somebody something that you know will risk everything you want to keep in your life. She tells him, I reckon he offhandedly, at some point, somehow, his management came to know that she had cheated, and they decided to go down that road of like, oh, let's make you the victim. Let's make you the victim and utilize that for your career. And then he just didn't say no to doing that. He just continued, right? Because you saw the same thing with Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson, because again, he pulls off her top, her bra. It was meant to just rip off the top or expose her bra, but then her nipple came out, and her nipple was there at the Super Bowl for everybody to watch. I've done a video about this. And then so everybody's like really upset now, because they're like, oh, you can't just be having nipples out on the Super Bowl, which fair enough, right? But the attention and the problem was focused on Janet, and it wasn't focused on Justin. And I just want to say this, guys, like, I don't know why we pretend in society. Like, let's be very honest with each other. I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm not asking for anybody to feel sorry for me or for women. But it is societally more acceptable for men to behave however they want promiscuously than it is for women. It is more acceptable for men to just be dogs in and of itself, which I love dogs. So it's not a bad thing when I refer to men as dogs personally, because I actually prefer dogs to people anyway. I prefer dogs to men and women. I have more trust in dogs and their loyalty than I do in any human being, to be honest with you, right? But you get what I'm saying? It's more acceptable. Even on a spiritual sense, I won't ignore the biblical sense of, guys are never really spoken about as to whether they're a virgin or not, but it's always us with women. Is she a virgin or isn't she a virgin, right? Is she of this or is she of that? And I appreciate that it's because us women probably don't care as much. Like, I genuinely know myself, I don't care as much when it comes to guys, like how many girls you've been with, because first of all, they're not me. So, You know what I'm saying? And like, but that's a different perspective as a woman, because I realize that as well. Men and women, we're so different. A lot of guys will be like, oh, I'm put off by a woman who has children. To me, I'm more interested in men who have children, because I'm like, if you've actually had a child, then whatever your opinion, expression is with you and your children tells me everything I need to know about you as a man. And I am satisfied with that. I'm happy with that. Also, I don't mind being a stepmom. I'm cool with being a stepmom. Like, I'm so cool with that. Like, everybody, there's a home with me for every child in the world. Like, that's my way of thinking. And that's why I'm saying us as men and women were different, you know, because I get the guys are like really not into this. Like, guys are just, I find it so fascinating how guys, but I kind of also get it from a male perspective. I'm not male, but I get what guys are saying. Anyway, my point being, it is true that it's more acceptable. So even if people knew the details that Justin had cheated loads, but Britney cheated once, I still think a lot of society will look more on her to be the problem than him. And, you know, it's these little things, because for Britney, she was deeply in love with Justin. That's the thing. She talks in her book about how in love she was, and that's all that she cared about, and that when they broke up, she just didn't even care about performing. And then again, I think you should too trusting. You think we live in a world, like, this is what I be thinking when I'm reading the book. I'm thinking, you think we live in a world where as a young woman, like, falling in love and being like fearlessly in love with somebody and just opening up yourself to someone is actually a safe space. And it makes me interested, because I think about dating, I think about what a lot of people have to say, and I think about how us ladies today get villainized for our sense of independence. A lot of women, I say us because I'm a woman, not necessarily because I prescribe to that way of thinking, but we get villainized a lot for our prescription to, independence. However, is dependence a safe space? Because now that I'm saying, and I mean, Britney was talking, like, let me guys read you. I hope I bookmarked this page, because there was a bit where she was really saying how she really felt. This is now when she was with Kevin Federline, because she had the same issues she had with Justin and the same issues she had with Kevin Federline. And like, the way I read this, right, was like, she was deeply in love with Justin, and Justin just looked at her as just like, well, I was in love, but right? And then the same with Kevin Federline. And that's what I'm saying. It made me just think that, like, men just hate women. Like, they actually hate us. Like, they don't even care. Like, there's no men that care about any of our feelings, because men just look at us as just like a piece of meat to ingest, to encounter. And like, I'm not saying that's what I believe, because it's not what I believe, but I'm saying that these types of things, that's when, as a society, we have to really call a spade, because you can't just go around, and this is one of the things that I think I wish I could communicate to the male community, is you can't just go around talking about women as just these sexual beings, and that's all you're discussing us as, and then be surprised when you don't have a lot of women wanting to show up as being wives. You don't have a lot of women showing up as wanting to be mothers, because a lot of us, I've even said this before myself, that it's thanks to God that I care about my intelligence still, because I've realized in talking to guys that, like, really, as long as I'm good looking, that's all, it seems that all that matters. If I could be intelligent, I could be anything else, who cares, right? I'm not saying that's what I believe. I'm saying that's how the approach can come off from a significant amount of that community. Not all of that community, but a significant amount of the male community does behave in that manner. And therefore, why are we falling in love? Why are we dedicating ourselves to being wives and mothers and everything? Why can't I find this? This should be here somewhere. And I definitely saved the page, or like folded the page. Where was it? Hold on 1 second, guys. Okay, here we go, guys. Right, so we're at this bit. It's page 110, okay? When I read this section of this was so far the most difficult part for me to read, because it further, like, just stabbed the knife in my back, or in my soul, or in my heart, or probably all of the above, that you can't trust people. Like, the world is not a safe space, and Britney was too trusting. So let me read this to you guys. So we're on page 110. Then Kevin Federline was holding me. Actually, let's start from the start of the page. The tour felt so depressing. In Illinois, I hurt my knee really bad toward the end of the show. I'd had a previous knee injury while rehearsing for the music video for some times, which is interesting. because I remember that song as well and wondering what was going on in her life at the time. Off my first album. That was more extreme. I'd cried hysterically. With this injury, I only had to reschedule 2 dates, but in my mind, I'd already started to check out. I was craving some lightness and joy in my life. So I believe, so this is after she's separated from Justin. He's moved on. He's thriving. And she's, going through it and whatever. He gets injured. Then Kevin Federline was holding me. That's the thing I remember best. We met at a club called Joseph's Cafe in Hollywood, where I used to sit at a table in the back. Right away from the moment I saw him, there was a connection between us, something that made me feel like I could escape everything that was hard in my life. She's already gone wrong here, because I'm already thinking, if I was her, this is why I'm sharing all this stuff with you guys, because I want you guys to actually hear a perspective of somebody that's going to tell you what I'm really thinking and feeling, right? I would be rejecting these feelings immediately, based on my assessment of the world and of humans and of adults. I'll be like, oh, hell no, I can't be feeling like this right now. That very first night we met, he held me, and I mean held me, in a pool for hours. That was how he was to me, steady, strong, a comfort. I remember we would go swimming and he'd wrap his arms around me in the water and not let me go until I wanted him to, no matter how long that took. It was beyond a sexual thing. So we're talking about intimacy here, ladies and gentlemen. It wasn't about lust, it was intimate, she says. He would hold me as long as I wanted to be held. Had anyone in my life ever done that before? If so, I couldn't remember when. And was there anything better? Oh, Britney, bless your heart. After what I thought I'd gone through with Jay, I hadn't been with someone in a real way in so long. Meanwhile, the press kept suggesting famous men who I should date, royalty, CEOs, models. How could I explain that I just wanted to be held for an hour by a man in a swimming pool? I feel like a lot of women, and this is definitely true of me, can be strong as they want to be, can play this powerful role, but at the end of the day, after we've done our work and made our money and taking care of everyone else, we want someone to hold us tight and tell us everything's going to be okay. I'm sorry. I know it sounds aggressive. But I think it's a human impulse. We want to feel safe and alive and sexy all at the same time. And that's what Kevin did for me. So I held on to him like there was no tomorrow. And I'm just like, sorry guys, I don't mean to sound so aggressive, but this is the thing. This is the thing. What I'm trying to say here, this is why she's too trusting. I'm not saying, look, with God, I believe the reality that she's hoping for exists. The world we're looking at, this doesn't exist. Where is intimacy in this day and age? Where is intimacy? I see intimacy amongst, couples, that are, happy together and whatnot. So it's not it's not seen, but wow, when I read that she wrote this, I just thought she was very bold to have said this type of thing out loud, because I was like, bruh, that would not be me. It would not catch me telling the whole world about this, that, and the other. You would not catch me. But then I realized that it's because of the world that we live in, and it's because of whatever. And it's because I've realized that you can't be trusted. Having a heart like hers, I want you guys to see something here. Having a heart like hers and being who she is what has led her to being caught up in this conservatorship, being trapped in it for 15 years. The whole world protecting her parents and the whole world believing her parents over her and just taking her side of things. Her being a real, raw, kind, genuine person didn't work out for her. That's the thing. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, that's something she's too trusting. Like, it didn't work out for Britney that she was like out here trusting the world. It didn't work out for her. It worked the opposite. It worked that her life is more difficult. It worked that people are now making memes and joking about her dancing with knives that were fake knives just before Halloween. Hello. All of a sudden, that's what genuineness, that to me, and this is what I'm saying, that reading this is just what stabbed me right back in the same wounds, because I'm like, wow, so being a genuine, honest, real, raw person this is how you be treated. If you were to be a conniving, selfish, predatorial, greedy, manipulative, exploitative person like her family, all of a sudden, the world trusts you for the most part. It's only recently. It only is because of the fans that Britney Spears is even where she is. She even said that I have to always thank my fans. She talks about it in the book. I have to always thank my fans because my fans are the ones who actually have my back. And my fans are the ones that wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my fans. And now I believe that because she's had so much attention from fans like myself and people who've been talking about this, it's now got to the point where the only reason she has any type of observable freedom, which I don't actually even believe that she's free, I stand behind that, is because they have to pander to us to make us feel that way, which is why I'm more inclined to believe that she isn't free than that she is free. Because, of course, they would try to do everything to satisfy us. So that immediately makes me think, well, if someone's doing everything to satisfy what you think or you feel, then that's manipulative, because they're just trying to make you think the same way they manipulate the public. Like, oh, we're worried about how she's spending her money. She's a grown-ass damn woman. Like, this is what I'm trying to say. Like, I find it fascinating how at my age, people will look at me and say, I'm responsible for my own actions. I need to be an adult. I need to wise up. But then you'll look at a 26-year-old woman like Britney Spears, because she was my age when this all stuff went down. And you'll say, oh, we need to decide what she should do with her money. Her parents should be in control because she doesn't know what she's doing. Listen, God gave her free will. If she messes up all her money, if she invests all her money into nonsense, if she spends all her money buying slime online, that's her business. That's her money. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the other things I don't like about society, is that we pick and choose when we decide to sit on what sides we decide to sit on. Oh, when it comes to you being an adult and being an 20, whatever, we're going to treat you as 100% adult. You better have everything figured out and you better do everything perfectly right. You better not have had sex with 100,000 different guys. You better not have done this. You better not have done that, whatever, right? But then when it's convenient, oh, your parents must need to be in control of you because you're just wasting your money. Like, so what? She earned the money. She gets to spend it how she wants. If she wants to spend her whole money on buying McDonald's every single day and that's all she wants to spend her money on, that's up to her. I thought she was an adult. I thought she was somebody who's supposed to be able to look after herself and going to be held accountable to absolutely everything that she did from the minute, second, hour, day that she turned 18 years old. And now we've all considered her completely an adult. But no, we don't do that when it's appropriate, because now we think, oh, her loving parents are doing so much for her. Let's support them because they just want to make sure that she's okay. Like, screw everyone. Like, that's what I'm saying. That's when I hear this stuff, I just think, screw you all. Like, especially because I'm in that position where it would be so easy, where I sit in that exact pocket of, at my age, 26, being considered so adult, like, you better have everything figured out. Everything better be perfect for you. You better know exactly what you want to do, how you're going to do it. You better have worked out all your issues. You better have healed from every single thing that's happened to you, all in one. But at the same time, we're also going to patronize you and be condescending and tell you everything you need to do. And actually, when it suits us, we're going to tell you that the people that came before you are actually responsible for you because you don't know what you're doing for yourself, even though you're supposed to be held for your own account. You see what I'm saying? So I don't really like the world. That's why I think Britney was too trusting. She really thought it was a safe space with Justin and then Kevin. Let's keep reading, guys. Let's actually keep reading and see where this goes, because this is interesting now. Now I'm like, let's keep reading. So I held on to him like there was no tomorrow. She feels she sounds regressive by expressing her feelings that she enjoys to having the steady, strong comfort of having a man in her life. Okay, that's where we're at, guys. So let's continue. This is good. This is really good, guys. So we're on page 111 now, continuing from where we were. In the beginning, my relationship with Kevin was playful. Kevin liked me the way I was. As a woman who'd spent so much time trying to live up to society's expectations, being with a man who gave me permission to be exactly who I was felt like a gift. Kevin had a bad boy image. Still, I had no idea when we met that he had a toddler. nor that his ex-girlfriend was 8 months pregnant with his second baby. I was clueless. I was living in a bubble and I didn't have a lot of good, close friends to confide in and get advice from. Story of my damn life, ladies and gentlemen. Story of my damn life. I had no idea until we'd been together for a while and someone told me, you know he has a new baby girl, right? I didn't believe it. But when I asked, he told me it was true. He told me he saw them once a month. You have kids, I said. You have children? Not only one child, but 2 children. So a number was done on me, obviously. I had no idea. I know that feeling all too damn well. That feeling of trusting in people, being authentic, assuming that people are like you, and then realizing everything you thought wasn't what you thought it was because somebody wasn't sharing the important information that needed to be shared. Right? So let's continue because we're nearly done, guys, with the bit that I want to read for this. That spring of 2004, I had to go back to work to make good on my contracted dates. Even though I was in no mood to do it, I figured it would be tolerable if Kevin could go with me, and he agreed to come. We had so much fun together on that tour. He helped me keep distracted from the work, which felt as challenging as it ever had. After the shows, I didn't have to go back to my hotel room alone. Flying home, we were chatting away, and I asked him to marry me. He said no, and then he proposed to me. Okay, so first of all, here, this is a great part of the book for us to talk about. I'm so glad we're here. First of all, once again, she's overlooked. You see what I'm saying? A lot of guys today will talk about, oh yeah, women today, they're like this. This is a situation where a woman is willing to overlook the things that are happening with her and a man. With Justin, she overlooked the cheating. With Kevin, she's overlooking the babies. Who knows if there's cheating? She's overlooking it. She's more focused on her love and them building something together. I want you guys to understand that this is why it doesn't work out for a lot of good females out there. This is why a lot of good females out there are not interested in certain things anymore. Because it's like as soon as you open yourself up to being understanding, you're just going to be taken advantage of. Okay? She even goes as far as to propose. When I read that, I was like, Britney, you've lost me now. Because I don't ever want to impose anything on any man. The way that men complain about women today, a lot of men in Western society complain about women. I'm like, I won't impose anything on you. Like, I'm not going to ask you for anything. I'm not going to ask you for not even one thing because I don't want you to come back and tell me that anything I've asked you has been an inconvenience that you felt forced to do. You know what I'm saying? And when she said she's asked him to marry her, I was just like, Britney, you are fearless. And you can tell because for her, and this is the point, she's living a life where she's trusting, she's going with what she sees, what she feels. She's in love. She loves him. She wants to be with him. She wants to marry him. She's like, I ain't even who cares about the traditions? I'm going to propose to you. And then he says no and proposes to her. Obviously, I believe he wanted to have the opportunity to do that to her. And I believe she should have left him to do that. I believe us as women just leave men to do what they're going to do. Don't ask. Don't follow my advice, guys. Let's keep going. We filmed tour diaries together. The original concept was a documentary like Madonna's Truth or Dare, but it became more like a collection of our home videos. Especially after I got hurt again, it was later released as a reality show called Britney and Kevin Chaotic. Oh, that's hilarious. The Onyx Hotel was just rough. It was too sexual for a start. Justin had embarrassed me publicly, so my rebuttal on stage was to kind of go there a little bit too. But it was absolutely horrible. I hated it in the moment. In fact, I hated that entire stupid tour so much that I prayed every night. I said, God, just make my arm break. Make my leg break. Can you make something break? And then on June 8th, 2004, with still 2 months to go, I fell again on the set of my video for Outrageous. Got another knee injury and had to have surgery. The rest of the tour dates were scrapped. I so know these kinds of moments in life. I so know these kind of moments where you're like, God, literally, the excellence that I'm producing is causing me stress and everybody's just loving it. Like, just cancel this everything. I thought back on how much I had suffered as a teenager doing physical therapy for my knee. The experience had been excruciating. I had to move my legs up and down, even as they were causing me unspeakable agony. So when the doctors offered me Vicodin, I took it. I didn't want to experience that level of pain again. I just went to my apartment in Manhattan, got into my princess bed, and if anyone's friends, family, people in the business wanted to talk to me during this time, I said, leave me alone. No, I don't want to do anything or see anyone. And I definitely didn't want to go back on tour for a while if I could help it. Part of it was that I believed I had earned the right to make my own decisions in my personal life after such a grueling schedule. This is what I'm saying. Why does Britney have to feel like she had to earn her rights? God already gave her those rights. But of course, when you're that type of person in this society, in this world we live in, people are going to take advantage of you. People are going to make you think that you didn't already have the right, right? I felt like I'd been manipulated into going straight back to work after the breakup with Justin because it was all I knew. The Onyx tour was a mistake, but in my mind, I thought I should just do what I was supposed to do, which was work. I realize now that I should have sat back and taken my time getting over the breakup with Justin before I resumed touring. The music industry is just too hardcore and unforgiving. You often visit a different city every day. There's no consistency. It's not possible to find stillness when you're on the road. When I made the Britney Spears Live and More video special in Hawaii in 2000, I began to realize that TV is really easy. TV is the luxury part of the business. Touring is not. My sister had also just landed a huge Nickelodeon deal. I was happy for her. Seeing her learning lines and doing wardrobe fittings reminded me that I would have loved to have a job. Oh, this is where it gets even interesting. I've picked the perfect place to read today. Reminding me that I would have loved to have a job that was more like the cozy world of children's television. Now, when she says this, I can understand how this would come across condescending to somebody else, by the way. I just want to acknowledge that. When she's saying the cozy world of children's television, it's kind of condescending. I'm not going to lie. But I don't believe she's trying to be condescending. I believe she's just making a genuine observation from her position and perspective. And I totally get that sometimes your observation and perspective comes off a certain way to other people. That doesn't mean that's your intention. Anyway, and remembering how easy everything had seemed, she says, I liked thinking about the Mickey Mouse Club and remembering how easy everything had seemed back then. I thought Kevin would give me the stability I was craving. And the freedom too. So she was craving stability. And this is the thing, guys, as well, that I want to point out, because before I filmed this, I was watching some Britney Spears music videos. Particularly, I was watching Gimme More, because she talked in this book how she filmed that with her girls in the bar. Like, it wasn't like a proper production. It was literally her and her friends. She was like, screw that, everybody else, we're doing this, and we're doing this here and now. And that's what she did. And I think about the fact that, stability and freedom a lot of times are things that people who experience fame, power, all that type of stuff really crave. Like, if you've ever had any type of position in life where you've been, seen in a certain level above others, and you're in any type of influence or leadership or any type of thing, stability and freedom are things, because like for me, I know I crave stability, like in my life. I'm like, even me traveling this year just reminded me, like, I just want stability. I would love for the first time in my life to be living somewhere where I'm not already knowing the date when I have to move again. You know what I'm saying? Or at least anticipating that. So anyway, Karen and I got married that fall. We held a surprise ceremony in September. But the lawyers needed more time with the prenup, so the legal event didn't take place for a couple of weeks. This is so interesting. Okay, so not a lot of people were happy for Kevin and me. Whether or not I liked it, I was one of the biggest stars in the world at the time. He was living a more private life. I had to defend our relationship to everyone. Kevin and I, so again, she is so loyal, not even desperately loyal, but so loyal to this man, right? And to the point where she's defending herself to others. Kevin and I got married that fall. We held a surprise ceremony in September, but the lawyers needed more time with the prenup, so the legal event didn't take place for a couple of weeks. People shot the ceremony. I wore a strapless dress and the bridesmaids wore burgundy. After the ceremony, I changed into a pink sweatsuit that read Mrs. Federline, and everyone else put on juicy tracksuits too, because we went to a club after to dance all night. Now that I was married and thinking about starting a family, I decided to start saying no to things that didn't feel right. So notice how we're in this point where Britney is finally deciding to have boundaries for herself, things that she wants to do, that she's prepared to defend. Like the Onyx tour, I parted ways with my managers. I posted a letter to the fans on my website in which I told them I was going to take some time off to enjoy my life. I've actually learned to say no. I wrote and I meant it with this newly found freedom. So this is a quote that she sent to the fans. Ready? I've actually learned to say no. I wrote and I meant it. With this newly found freedom, it's like the people don't know how to act around me. I'm sorry that my life seemed like it was all over the place the past 2 years. It's probably because it was. Oh, can I relate? I understand now what they mean when they talk about child stars. Going and going and going is all I've ever known since I was 15 years old. Please remember that times are changing and so am I. So that was the quote of what she said to the fans. I felt so much peace after announcing my intention to control my life at last. Things are going to change around here, I thought excitedly. And then they did. Now, I won't continue from there. But it's taken Britney all this time, all this experience to realize that she has not necessarily been living her life the way that she wants. She felt like she had to earn her right to her freedom. Why do you have to earn the right to your freedom in a career that you created? Why do you have to earn your right to your freedom when the people that you're even earning freedom from are the people that only have their jobs and are only making money because of your talent, because of what you're doing? And this is what I'm saying. She's too trusting. And this is the problem with being on Earth. This is the problem with being on planet Earth, is if you're too trusting of humans, if you have a good heart, if you have a pure heart, if you are there for people, like, it's going to backfire on you a lot of the time, without God, especially. So that's why I find this so fascinating, because I'm just seeing a clear depiction of how Britney clearly, she trusted people, she trusted the world, she thought this was a fair fight, she thought this was fair. This is what I've been getting from reading the story. Britney thinks this is fair. She thinks if I put in this, I get that, because this is the fairness of the world. If I care about my family, if I want to work hard, if I want to say no, like, I live in a world where I should be, my decisions should be honored, my boundaries should be respected, but it's not how it works. And that's one of the things I just want to highlight, like, that the world is a place that isn't safe for so-called good people. I don't class anybody as good or bad. Listen, guys, I tell you, I'm the worst of everyone. Okay. But what I would say is that when you are genuinely caring about people, when you're genuinely open, fearless, like when look at her now, like, she said all this stuff about all these guys. Look at how Justin treated her. Look at how Kevin treated her in the end, and all this stuff. I've covered a lot of this stuff already on my channel, my Britney playlist, my #Free Britney playlist. Like, look how they treated her. Look at how her openness, her fearlessness, even her talking about, wanting to be with a man and feeling regressive for even discussing how she felt about that. Look at how that figured out for her. Look at how it worked out. That's what I'm saying. Because it's like, it's not a safe environment. She was too trusting. And I'm not saying that she was wrong. I think she's right. I think we should be able to live in a world where we can be like how she is. But there are also factors that we don't. And also, I think sometimes people don't think or talk enough about the fact that it's not everybody who's just trying to be the problem. It's some people who have good reason. Because imagine me reading this book. Do you think that me reading this book made me think, oh my gosh, I love being on planet Earth? So much fun to be a 26-year-old in 2023. I thought, I hate it here. Like, I hate it more. Like, that's one of the reasons I'm glad I haven't even continued reading, to be honest. Because I'm like, I might even hate it even more if I read more of this book. Because it's just a further proof to me that it's not safe to trust people on this planet Earth. It's not safe for people. It's safe when you're selfish. Selfishness is safety. But when you're not being selfish, God forbid, because you will find yourself in a situation like these. You will be trying to understand people, overlook things, and it will still backfire on you. Because look at where Britney is today. And I'm so in support of Britney. I want to see full vindication and justice for her, because I still think that she's in a tough spot. I think that her husband married her for long enough. and was involved enough. I don't know what Sam Mascara is. I never trusted him. I told you guys this from the beginning. I've never trusted that man. And lo and behold, they're divorcing and she's released the book. But there's just so much to think. Anyways, guys, I've said enough. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe if you're feeling the vibe and you want to join the tribe. Welcome to the winning team, because if life's a game, let's play to win. I'm just throwing ideas out there for y'all. Just saying, as I like to say. Just saying. So yeah, God bless you all. And I'll see you in my next one.